Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Catherine Kamindu.
Good morning.
Welcome to your oral interview.
Thank you.
I'd like to take this opportunity to have the panel introduce itself to you so that you're able to know who will be interviewing you this morning. So the introductions will start from my far left.
Good morning. My name is Maurice Kimuli, and I'm a member of the panel.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good morning, Dr. Amindu. My name is Dr. Efes Abdallah, the member of the panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Camino. My name is Gideon Solonka, a member of this panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam. I'm Reverend Father Joseph Mutie, a member of the panel.
Thank you, Father.
Welcome, Dr. Kamindo. I am Awori Achoka, Vice Chair of the panel.
Good morning, Dr. Kamindo. I'm Elizabeth Mayer, member of the panel.
Thank you.
My name is Elizabeth Muli, and I'm the chair of the panel.
Thank you, Chair.
So welcome once again.
Thank you.
Dr. Kamindu, we have had the opportunity to study your application. This morning, we just want to get to know you better. So we'll be having a conversation. So feel relaxed. Please answer candidly, but also be precise because this is a timed interview. So with that, we are ready to start. And I'll start by asking you to share with us aspects of your career and experience that demonstrate that you would be the ideal candidate to be appointed as an IEBC Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Catherine Mushiru Kamido. I am a researcher. I am a curriculum developer, an educator, and I'm an electoral practitioner. Madam Chairperson, allow me to briefly just tell the panel my journey, my career journey, starting with my academic experience. I hold a PhD degree in education policy and management from the University of Durham in the UK. A master's degree in education administration from Kenyatta University and a bachelor's degree from Kenyatta University. In terms of my career, I started my career as a graduate teacher in a school in Kajiado. Starting a department that was non-existing as a young graduate. And by the time I left, Madam Chair, that department was in place. Madam Chairperson, from teaching after my master's degree, I joined the Kenya Institute of Education, which is currently Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development in the Division of Research, Monitoring and Evaluation. It is at the Kenya Institute of Education that really I honed my skills in terms of leadership, in terms of teamwork, in terms of portraying that I have the potential to create an impact. And Madam Chairperson, probably at this point, I would want to say that my career path and looking at what a commissioner is supposed to do at the IEBC, as somebody who has walked the path, because after the Kenya Institute of Education, where I rose from a program in charge of research, monitoring and evaluation, I had the opportunity to demonstrate. I had the opportunity to create impact, and I had the opportunity to lead teams. Madam Chairperson, in Kenya Institute of Education, I was able to create impact in terms of programs that have shaped the education sector in this country. For instance, at the very early stages when child labor was a problem in terms of participation. I was with a team of 3. We were able to do a proposal that helped the institute in terms of infusing child labor messages into the curriculum. Fast forward, the director, the deputy monitoring and evaluation. The summative evaluation of the curriculum was actually vested in my docket, and I was able to at that time I was able to lead the process of evaluating the curriculum in this country, in the primary and secondary curriculum, and it's as a result of that summative evaluation that this country is now enjoying the curriculum-based competence changing of landscape of education in this country. At the Kenya Institute, at the IEBC, I joined IEBC as Manager, Research and Development. And it is at IEBC where I have been able to bring out my potential in terms of management of elections and the competencies that are needed. And to demonstrate this, Madam Chairperson, I would want to bring out my personal attributes that are very important in the conduct of elections. I am a very calm person. I'm resilient. I am a person who is, in the eyes of a storm, I am calm. I am a person who is adaptable to change. I am able to rally teams as to focus on the time. I offer the projects that I have read at the commission, in the 11 years that I have been at the commission. First of all, I hold the docket where the development of the commission strategic plan is housed. In the commission, I have the responsibility of initiating the first strategic plan for the commission. And at the commission, I have offered leadership in terms of sharing different committees, technical committees. I have interacted with the commission, with the secretariat, and in the face of the conduct of elections, Madam Chair, I have been very, very instrumental in identifying gaps that are in the risk in the in those gaps, the gaps that exist. Identification of those gaps is what has made apart from leading the team that developed first, the second, and the third strategic plan, I want to pride myself in having steered projects in the commission that have had an impact, not just in the country, but outside the country. Allow me to of those projects. One is the pilot testing of the national election management tool. This is a tool that was being piloted by the international idea in order to identify risks in the electoral process. And we were lucky that Kenya was chosen as one of the countries that was going to pilot the tool. And I was able to offer leadership to oversight the implementation of that project. And at the end of it all, it was successful, and it has now, because of the success of its implementation, it was adopted by the African Union as in the use in the member states. And I had the opportunity of interacting and inducting other EMBs in Africa, in North Africa, SADC countries, in ECOWAS countries, in the use of the tool. The other elections project that has shaped the election security in this country, because for the first time it brought the security sector and the commission together to plan for electoral security. And this has improved the way business in terms of securing our elections has actually been conducted. Madam Chair, other attributes that I do have an experience is in terms of international exposure. I have been lucky to observe elections in many African countries, and therefore I have been able to bring to the Commission experiences, good lessons that we have adopted, because after every observation mission, and I have observed elections in this country, in the African continent, in different countries, I have been able to bring experiences, the do's and the don'ts, and some of them have actually been incorporated to improve our processes. In terms of where I sit, I have been with the Commission for the last 11 years, and having been there for 11 years, and having interacted, because as the person in charge of monitoring the implementation of strategy that the Commission has set, implementation of the policies, I have a bird's eye view of the whole Commission. That is the Secretariat. I understand the Secretariat. I understand the Commission, because, Madam Chairperson, as I present papers to the board, to the Commission, I do interact with them. In order for me to be able to guide in the development of the strategic plan, I have to interact with the Commission so that I'm able to get their thinking and then build that into a proposal, into a draft that is presented to them for adoption. Madam Chairperson, when it comes to understanding the Secretariat, having lived that life in the Secretariat, I do understand where the gaps are. I do know what is it that can inspire. What is it that can make the Secretariat more productive in terms of ensuring that the policies, the strategies that the Commission sets are actually delivered for the better of this country? Madam Chairperson, elections are stressful. They cause a lot of pressure. I am one person who actually is able to withstand pressure, and I'm able to rally my teams, the teams that I've worked with, even in very, very difficult situations, to focus on the goal and to minimize the pressure that they feel. And Madam Chair, maybe one thing that Kenyans may not know is that the Commission has a very high turnover of staff. And why does this happen? This happens because there are quite a number, there's a lot of pressure that is created by the environment that the staff work under. And because of that, it is important that the Commission understands the environment, understands the people that the people that are supposed to implement the agenda. And I feel and I believe I will be an interface between the Secretariat and the Commission. Madam Chairperson, in addition to being able to understand, or in addition to what I'm going to bring to in terms of understanding the Secretariat, my international networks are very important. I have built networks internationally, electoral networks, and these are networks that at the Commission level I would be able to use to make IEBC a better commission. And Madam Chair, in terms of inspiring staff, in terms of building them, in terms of making them believe that the Commission is behind them, in making them believe in they have a fallback, and so that they can concentrate on the work that they are doing, knowing that there's a body that is there to actually shield them. There's a body that is there that is going to make them to help them bring out the best out of who they are. And then, Madam Chairperson, I believe and I know that with my background in policy development, policy implementation, then I'll be implementing what I understand. For instance, the Commission has just launched the 2020-2024 strategic plan, which I have steered. So in terms of implementing the Commission's strategies, that the vision that the Commission has set, I'll be oversighting what I understand, and therefore I'll be able to give guidance to the Secretariat. I'll be able to share with my colleagues, my Commissioner colleagues, in terms of the insights, and especially if appointed, I'll be among 3 other new commissioners. I'll be happy, I'll be glad to induct them, although the induction will not be part of my official responsibility. It will be good to share with my colleagues the insights that would help us shape the Commission and make it a better Commission. I live in impact in whichever area that in task that I've been assigned to, and I have a track record of having done and facilitated programs that have actually made a difference in this country. And given an opportunity, I am confident that I'll be able to make the Commission a better Commission. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kamindo. Maybe you can confirm if you are a registered voter?
Yes, I am a registered voter, Madam Chairperson.
Okay. Where did you vote in the last election?
I voted in Thika Town Constituency, Heshima Primary School polling station.
Thank you. I'll now request Mr. Morris Kimuli to ask you a few questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Dr. we looked at the answer you provided for your case study.
Yes.
And one of the issues you raised in your case study is the question of management of the voter register. And you referred to the need to respect the applicable timelines and guidelines in the management of the voter register. Now, what are these timelines you are referring to in your case study?
Thank you for that question. The voter register is a very important document in the credibility of an election, and it's guided by law. First of all, it is a continuous process. Voter registration is a continuous.
What law? Which law? You say it's guided by law.
Yes.
Which law?
The Elections Act is specific about the register of voters.
What does it say?
Continuous voter registration. It allows for verification of the voters' register, gazettement of the cleaning of the voters' register, and gazettement of the register of voters.
Does the law say in what form IEBC shall keep the voter register? Keep and maintain the voter register?
Yes. The IEBC is supposed to maintain a clean voter register and in electronic form and also in hard copy form.
So in essence, therefore, when we talk about access and inspection of the voter register,
Yes.
It means that it should be accessible in the physical and also in virtual form.
Yes.
Now, at what time, by law, is IEBC supposed to allow inspection of the voter register?
Actually, the inspection of the voter register is supposed to be a continuous process. We have two processes. We have the inspection and we have the verification. The verification is a continuous process because a voter can actually walk into a polling station and verify their details in a registration center where they were registered in the constituency. When it comes to the inspection of the voters register, this is done before a general election because it is after the processing of the register has been processed that it is made available for inspection so that the voters can actually verify their details. They can certify that the details that they have are actually correct, and that should be 6 months before the general election.
Now, what is the purpose of, you say that the purpose of verification is to know whether your details are okay.
Yes.
Now, what about when there is a by-election? Are you supposed to verify before you go to vote whether your details in the voter register are okay?
When there is a by-election, there is ring-fencing of registration, meaning there are no new registrations that take place in that particular electoral area, and there's no harm, and there's nothing that stops a voter from walking to a polling to a constituency office to verify their details of their registration details. There's nothing that would stop a voter from doing that.
What I'm asking is whether IEBC has the legal framework to allow, just as it is done during a general election, to allow inspection and verification of the details before a by-election.
No.
Do you think that is necessary?
I think
it's necessary for members of the public who are going to vote in a by-election to be allowed?
Given the fact that when there is a by-election, the expectation is that it's the members, it's the people who are registered, and this would apply if the by-election is actually caused by a petition, a successful petition. But I think, in my own opinion, it would be a good practice if the by-election is as a result of any other causes other than a petition, because in a by-election that is caused by a petition, then it is expected that it's those voters who voted in the previous election that will be participating in the by-election, and that is why the registration is actually stopped.
Now, you say that the register also exists in the virtual form. Does that mean that for me to inspect and to verify my details, I do not have to walk to IEBC offices?
What I said is that the register is kept by IEBC in a digital form.
Now, let me just be straight to the
Yes.
point. If I want to verify my details and I want to do it virtually, especially during this time, is there a platform that exists for doing that?
Yes, it exists, but the platform that exists does not give all the details that you'd want to verify as a voter.
Now, the responsibility to manage and keep and make available the voter register to the public, is it a responsibility of the commission or is it a responsibility of the secretariat?
It is the responsibility of the secretariat.
You've been in the secretariat for how long?
11 years.
Is this a question perhaps you have raised in terms of managing the legal policy regarding this matter? In the 11 years you have worked with the commission?
Thank you for that question. After every process takes place, there's monitoring and there's evaluation of that process. And the issue of the voter register, the registration and the issue of voter register has actually been flagged out as one of the areas that need improvement, that need to be enhanced.
So in essence, what you're saying is that where you are in the secretariat, you are able to originate legal policy towards addressing the voter register. And you don't necessarily need to be a commissioner to do that.
What, in my understanding, what happens is when a gap is identified that could affect the conduct of election, there is the relevant directorate that is in charge. For instance, the case that you're addressing, there's the directorate of legal and public affairs, and when the gap is identified, that directorate is supposed to come up with a proposal, present it to the relevant mechanisms in the commission, present it to management. From management, it goes to the committee, to the legal committee. From the legal committee, it goes to the commission.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there is a lot you can do when you are in the secretariat, not just necessarily in the commission. There's a lot you can do.
True.
And the law allows you to do a lot.
Yes, it is true.
Now, whose role is it to originate policies on, to originate the activity of boundary delimitation? Is it the secretariat or the commission?
It is the commission, because the boundaries, the delimitation of electoral boundaries is actually one of the mandate of the commission.
Does the secretariat have a role by law in boundary delimitation?
The secretariat will implement the policies and the strategies that the commission is going to develop. So
Now,
if they have the implementation role.
Just one last question, Daktari. Some of the boundaries that are delimited are boundaries between two counties.
Yes.
Does IEBC have the power to determine county boundaries? And if it does, under what law? If it doesn't, who has that responsibility? And what would then happen if there is a dispute between two counties?
Madam Chairperson, the question of disputes in electoral boundaries, in boundaries, both electoral and administrative, is very, very emotive. And from where I sit, we receive those disputes, both administrative.
Let me just help you. I'm asking about county boundaries.
Yes.
County boundaries, which also coincide with constituency boundaries. Do you have, by law, the jurisdiction, or who has the jurisdiction?
The county boundaries are not a mandate of the commission because they are administrative boundaries.
Whose mandate is it?
The county, it's the mandate of it's the county, the administrative boundary is actually outside the mandate of the IEBC, and it's the mandate of the Ministry of Interior in Interior because they actually delimit, they actually are the ones who are responsible for administrative boundaries.
Thank you. Just look at Article 188 of the Constitution. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kimuli. I'll now request Dr. F.S. Abdallah to ask a few questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Kamindo, karibu tena.
Asante.
Yeah, Dr. Kamindo, with your qualifications and experience, they are no doubt significant. And with you being there, I wouldn't expect anything to have gone wrong during the last elections. Now, in the 2017 presidential petition, the courts found significant electoral irregularities that warranted the nullification of the presidential election. Right. Madam Kamindo, you are the head of the team on the Tallying Center at Bomas. Maybe you could share your experience with us at what could have gone wrong?
Thank you, Dr. Abdallah, for that question. The Bomas of Kenya was the national tallying center for the 2017 general election. My role as the coordinator of the tallying center was actually to coordinate the different teams. The National Tallying Center comprises of different activities or different components. One is the results processing. The second one is the media center. The third one is the call center, both for external and internal calls, and the welfare, the security. My role was to coordinate and make sure there is seamless operations within all these different units of the tallying center. That is the role that I had.
Yes, I do appreciate that, but I'm referring you to that some irregularities, and I'm sure being there and coordinating this, maybe you could share what could have gone wrong.
Thank you, Dr. and Madam Chair. The irregularities that were highlighted by the Supreme Court of Kenya were mainly to do with the transmission of results. Transmission of results, excuse me, the transmission of results for the presidential.
We could have some water.
You can take a moment and can someone assist, please?
Sorry for that.
It's okay.
The transmission of results is a factor, is a sum total of many factors. And if I remember correctly, One of the issues was the fact that the Commission was unable to transmit the presidential results and also offer other mechanisms for the same. Now, in terms of transmission, it's actually affected by factors that may be beyond the Commission. For instance, there was the question of some polling stations that did not manage to transmit. It is in this country there are areas that do not have the infrastructure to support the transmission of results, because the results are transmitted in form of text, and they are transmitted in form of an image, where the results form is actually the photograph is the result form is scanned and transmitted. Now, those areas which do not have a 3G network are not able to transmit, and what would appear as a failure of transmission is failure of infrastructure, and it is something that the Commission has addressed. All the issues were highlighted by the Supreme Court of Kenya. The Commission has taken note of that, and they are being addressed progressively. And I want to believe that with the stakeholders, other stakeholders who have a stake in this infrastructure, we'll be having better transmission of results.
Thank you for that explanation. Now, if you are appointed a commissioner at the IEBC, what can be done to improve accountability structure and ensure personal responsibility for actions and decisions within the Commission?
Come again.
If you are appointed a commissioner at the IEBC, and you seem to know the whole structure, but what I'm seeing could be missing is enforcement and personal responsibility for action done at the Commission. What would you do because I'm sure this could be part of your research, what would you do in order to put mechanism where people are held responsible for action and decisions?
Madam Chairperson, if appointed a commissioner at the IEBC, one of the things that I would do is, and actually it is in a strategic plan, is strengthening the corporate governance of the Commission. For instance, the decision-making process, strengthening the committees of the Commission. Secondly, mechanisms for holding people accountable for decisions and actions that they make. And I think that is already there. What needs to be done is to enhance that accountability in terms of, for instance, if it is at the headquarters, where directorates will have to give quarterly reports to the relevant committees of the Commission, and that translates it's transmitted to the Commission can be able to identify any gaps that could be existing that could forestall the implementation of some of the strategies that they have set.
Thank you, Doctor. Next one. Political influence or attempts to infiltrate the IEBC through a commissioner is a risk that past failed. Has faded, yeah? What can the Commission do to mitigate this risk? Interference by political individuals or parties.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Dr. Abdallah. I think it's very clear what the Commission is supposed to do in terms of carrying out its business. The independence of the Commission is entrenched in the Constitution, and if people followed the law, the rules and the procedures, I don't think there should be any room for interference and infringement.
Yes, Doctor, but those laws have been there, and they're still there, but there's still interference.
Daktari, I may not share your view, because unless there is evidence that there is interference, most of the times it can be perception. And what we need to appreciate is that the political class, the candidates, the parties are very strong stakeholders, and the Commission cannot be able to ignore them. But it is up to the Commission to have mechanisms to make sure that the law is followed. It carries out its business according to the law. And that will shield it from any interference. And of course, bearing in mind that somebody who holds the office of a commissioner, the IEBC, is supposed to be a person of integrity, is a person who is supposed to be above board.
Right. Yes, Doc. I'm sure you're aware that the IEBC Commission have experienced negative publicity and a negative public image. What do you think this is so?
Thank you for that question, Madam Chair. It's true that negative publicity, low ratings of the Commission have been there, and having been in the Commission for 11 years now, what I think is, and I believe is what may be causing this negative publicity, and also low rating of the Commission among the Kenyans. One is communication, and when I talk about communication, I'm looking at a Commission where Kenyans know, Kenyans understand. If, for instance, the Commission had a very good, robust communication strategy where it actually works with the Kenyans in all its activities, the Kenyan public would not be having misinformation or misunderstanding of the Commission. For instance, technology is one of the areas where the Commission is an area that is completely misunderstood, and all Kenyans do not have enough information. As a commissioner at IEBC, I would want to see a policy, strategies that are going to open up the Commission to the Kenyan public. And how can this be done? We could have, for instance, a technology week where Kenyans can interact with electoral technology so that this mystery of what the technology can do is actually removed and people understand. The issue of what happens to your vote when you vote. Many Kenyans understand the process that goes on until that vote results into showing their will by electing the leader of their choice. So that mystery needs to be removed, and it needs to be removed by having a very good communication policy, setting strategies that are going to open up the commission to the public so that there's no mystery. Because I believe it is the mystery, is lack of that understanding, lack of knowing that makes people think the commission is mysterious.
Thank you, Doc. So I hope, I wish you all the best and hope that you will use all those research lessons and teachers so we can have a good elections. Thank you and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abdallah. I will now request Mr. Kimuli, no, sorry, not Mr. Kimuli, Mr. Gideon Solonka to ask a question.
Thank you, Madam Kamindo, for your answers. I want to begin by referring to you to a text in your application where, and I will read word for word what you said, that trust in an election management body is an important aspect in enhancing credibility of an election. Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember.
Okay. Now, the commission, after every election, and there is some linkage with what panelist Dr. Abdallah has asked you. After every election, and you are in this country, has been under attack from political class for bungling elections, threatening their removal. Okay? Every election, you remember the Kivuitu Commission, you remember the Hassan Commission, and now the Chebukati Commission.
Yeah.
After an election, everybody is saying these people must go.
Yes.
Now, if appointed as a commissioner, what measures will you seek to initiate to stop this narrative?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the question is very interesting because I think it's something very unique to the Kenyan environment. They must go after every election. What causes it? What causes this? And I think you read it correctly. Is the lack of trust in the electoral process, or lack of trust in the people who are conducting the election. Madam Chairperson, when you look at Kenya as a country in how we conduct our elections, the question of trust is pertinent not just to the commission or to the election management body, but to the Kenyan Republic, to the Kenyan public. And I am going to repeat relate what I answered when I was answering Dr. Abdallah's question. The question of the commission being open to the public. And by no means, I'm not saying that it's not now open, but there needs to be an enhancement. Distinguished panelists, you're conducting this interview in public. So the Kenyans are seeing the people who are being recruited. And when they are finally recruited, when they you get the best. But when they get to the election management body, why do they become questionable? Why do Kenyans question them? And yet, there's a very competent panel that recruits. I think this is the only country where the commissioners are taken through such a rigorous process of recruitment. But at the end of the day, they end up being mistrusted by the very people whom they are serving. One thing that I would really propose to cure this, other than the communication, is the stakeholder engagement. We have very key stakeholders: the political parties, the candidates, the candidates who contest elections. And most of the times, this mistrust is actually a product of dissatisfaction with the results that the Commission has announced. And strongly engaging the stakeholders in the processes, and especially the political class, would be a very important step towards curing that. And I'm not saying it is going to be the cure completely, but it is a step towards that. Then we also need, as a country, to accept, to have a culture of accepting that we get into a competition to win or to lose. There must be a winner.
Dr. Kamindo?
Yes.
You've alluded to a very important issue, that why Kenyans do not trust is because of the issue of results.
Yes.
Now, are you telling Kenyans that it is impossible to give verifiable, accurate results in an election? Because that is the only thing.
Mr. Solanka, it's very, very possible to do that. The mechanisms are there, but even when the mechanisms are there, and the Commission, and by no chance the Commission did not send me here to defend it. I'm giving my own opinion on what would work. Even when the mechanisms of giving credible, verifiable results are there, and they are there. I'm going to demonstrate to you why I think there's it is possible and it has been done. When results are announced at the polling station, first of all, the whole process at the polling station is witnessed by agents of parties and candidates. They are observers. Finally, when at the polling station the counting is done and the results are announced, and there are results forms that record the results as they are in presence of the agents, and the agents are required to sign that actually these are the results of that polling station. They do it. After that form, the agents are actually given that form. They are given a copy of that form, and they take it with them. It is left at the polling station. It is in the box, and it is that result form that it's actually transmitted. So if anybody wanted to verify the accuracy, the correctness of those results, those copies are available, because it is that result form that is actually transmitted, and it's what is used to declare the results once they are tallied. So the mechanisms are there, but the lack of knowing what mechanisms are there is what could actually create that mistrust. And I think by that openness, by stakeholder engagement, it's going to progressively help in terms of removing that must go.
So, in other words, the mistrust is misplaced. It is not based on reality.
I don't want to say, Mr. Solonka and Madam Chair, that the trust is misplaced, because what you don't know, you can form any perception about it. And that is why I'm advocating for that openness, so that when your opinion is not shaped by what you do not know.
Thank you. Let's move on. Now, do you trust the current election management body yourself as you sit there?
Mr. Solonka and Madam Chair, I do trust, because I know the mechanisms are there to deliver credible elections.
Thank you. Now, you are speaking to Kenyans. Can you score IEBC performance on the conduct and supervision of elections? Out of 100, what will you give them?
Probably you can rephrase or the question, because you talked about.
I'm saying that you've now been invited.
Yes.
You know how IEBC has been conducting and supervising elections. And we are told, out of 100, score them. How will you score them?
From an insider's point of view, I would score them 80%.
80%?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Now, let's move to another issue which is more touchy, especially now that we are moving to the next general election. And this is on Article 88.4 of the Constitution, and also the Election Campaign Financing Act, which mandates the Commission to regulate the amount of money that may be spent by or on behalf of a candidate or party in respect of any elections. How will you ensure that candidates and political parties stick to the campaign financial limits set by the Commission? How will you ensure?
Thank you for the question, and Madam Chair. Campaign financing is a tricky field, and not just in Kenya, world over. First of all, the law is there, but the regulations to implement it are not there. So until the regulations, Parliament avails the regulations to operationalize the Campaign Financing Act, it will be difficult to put in place the policies that are supposed to guide its implementation.
So are you saying that in the next general elections, the act will not be applicable?
Madam Chair, I am not saying that, because the Commission has submitted drafts of the regulations to Parliament. So as soon as Parliament provides the regulations, the Commission will be able to do that. Will be able to guide.
Now, in the draft regulations that you have presented or to Parliament, which you are waiting for approval, how will you ensure that campaign finances are not used?
Is not an easy task, and it has not been easy even in other countries. But because there's provision for the expenditure items in the regulations, I want to believe it will be possible to
Now, if you become commissioner, what will you do to ensure that piece of legislation is crucial? What will you do to ensure that as we go to 2022 elections, we have all these things in place so that our elections are controlled, the monies used in campaigns are controlled. What will you do as commissioner?
Thank you. As a commissioner in IEBC and in respect to the Campaign Financing Act and its enforcement, one of the most important aspects of enforcing any law is actually a buy-in from the stakeholders. In this respect of the campaign finance, the candidates, we are talking about the parties. So for me, as a commissioner, it would be very important to engage the very people who are supposed to be the very people who we are supposed, as a commission, we are supposed to ensure that they do not overspend. And this would be very important because when you come up, although the act is there, the regulations are there, but the commitment of the stakeholders, the commitment of those people who the act is for would be very, very important. For me, that is one thing that I would really want to see.
We read news, and we've heard the chair of IEBC speak of having parallel tallying centers. Is that correct?
Thank you. I do not think the commission mentioned parallel tallying center. He talked about having parallel server storage sites, not tallying centers. Because the tallying centers they're actually three in terms of the stages. We have the constituency tallying center, we have the county tallying center, and the national tallying center.
So you're saying that here we are talking of parallel what?
If what you're talking about is, Madam Chair, is what I understand, and if I can jog my memory, when the commission of the chairman of the commission talked about having servers at different sites, so that what happened in 2017 may not happen.
So maybe you can just tell Kenyans what that means, having parallel servers, and whether it is anchored in law.
What it means is, I'm not an expert in technology, and I'm giving my answer as a lay person, but a person who also have an understanding of the commission. What that means is that there are different sites. So even if this one fails, there's still an alternative from a layman's point of view.
Thank you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Solonka. At this point, I'll ask Madam Elizabeth Mayo to ask her questions. And Dr. Kamindo, I will request that you try and be more precise in your responses. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I will try.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Dr. Kamindo, I'd like to refer you to the case study. There is the response you gave in regard to the 1 million dead voters who are in the register. So that was your own response, and you said that to address it, you will establish trust amongst the stakeholders by responding to the issue which has been identified, that is, dead voters in the register. So what, in your view, do you think is the cause of this? Why are we having dead voters in the register?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and the chairperson. From where I sit in terms of the register of voters, registration is a continuous process of voters is a continuous process. At the same time, cleaning of the register is a continuous process, but we are also alive to the fact that Kenyans, people die even on the election day, there are people who are in the register who will die. So one of the reasons why we could have the voters who are deceased and they are still in the voters register is because of the process that is supposed to be taken to remove somebody from the register, because you have to be sure that this person is actually deceased. And how is that done? Is by getting data from the Registration Bureau. One of the ways is through the chiefs, because the chiefs also have that data. The commission also requests that data from the Registration Bureau, and then it is transmitted to the constituency registration officers, and they are expected to now counter-check, because every death is registered with the chief. They are supposed to counter-check, and once they ascertain that that person is actually dead, they can remove the person from the register. But it has to be very, very certain that the person is dead, and bearing in mind that death will occur every other day, then we will have deceased people in the register, even on the election day.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kamindo. So in line with your response, you have brought it out very clearly that you rely also on data from other institutions, so there are dependencies to what you are doing. So what reform can you bring on board to create effectiveness in cleaning the voter register?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Madam Mayor. One of the reforms that would be very, very important is actually, and it has happened in other jurisdictions, is actually linking the civil register with the electoral register, and by saying this, the commission will not be delegating its role or its mandate to another, but this register of the civil register will be used as a base data for the voter register to ensure, to counter-check. Yeah.
So what kind of communication will you give your stakeholders so that you can establish that trust? Yeah? Such that when people are going to vote, I know I'll get my name in the register.
Come again, please.
I believe you are aware of cases where people go to the polling station and they're told your name does not exist.
Yes.
So what kind of communication can you give out there to the people that will help them know that when I go to the polling station, I will not be turned away?
Thank you for that question, and I think it's a very important question for the Kenyans. First of all, what happens is that you go to your registration is done biometrically, and there's also a manual registration, because you fill a registration form, and that registration form captures your details. Then your biometrics are taken in form of registration. So if you go to the polling station and your biometrics, for one reason or the other, you're not able to be identified using the biometrics, there is the complementary method that relies on the hard copy to be able to identify the voter. And for that, there is also a form that is filled so that for the people to get a record of the people who are identified using the complementary method, so that the process is not abused. So I don't think somebody will miss in both. It's highly unlikely if they were registered.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So on your work experience, you indicated that your strength is in strategic communication, strategic planning, am I right?
Yes, strategic planning.
Curriculum development and supervision.
Yes.
Yeah. So these are attributes that are actually needed in
In the
IBC.
commission, yeah.
So on development of voter education curriculum, what will you include in this curriculum and how will you enhance supervision to ensure that implementation of what you've put in place is actually being done according to the timelines you've put there and you are getting actually what you put in the curriculum?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Madam Mayor. Curriculum development is actually my strength because I learned theoretically and also practically. In terms of, and I want to inform this panel that I was a lead facilitator in the development of the current curriculum for voter education. And one important aspect of any curriculum is the content that you put in there. And to make sure that the education, the voter education curriculum is addressing the needs of the Kenyans and what the commission would want to educate the Kenyans on. Already, we have done an assessment of the impact of the current voter education, whether it's addressing the needs of the Kenyans and the needs of the commission. And identification has already been done. For instance, in terms of the strategies, content on strategies that the commission is going to use in the delivery of voter education. It is very clear that the voter education has to be targeted. It is not a one fits it all. And once that has been done and the curriculum is reviewed, then the training of the people who are going to deliver this curriculum is very, very important, because you can have a very good curriculum, but if the trainers, if the people who are supposed to deliver it actually are not grounded, it is not going to solve the problem. It's not going to meet its objective. So the training, having the correct curriculum support materials that are going to help these trainers in terms of delivery, and of course packaging it in a way that is going to be appealing to the different cadres of aspects of the society.
Thank you, Dr. Kamindo. Remember, as a commissioner, your role is to give oversight.
Yes.
You will not go down to the ground to do actual training. So how will you ensure that what you have planned and put in place is being done? That's what I'm asking.
When the commission sets a policy and the strategies, which I believe it will be a voter education policy, and the strategies to deliver that policy. The respective directorate that is supposed to oversee or to implement that policy is supposed to give quarterly reports in terms of where they are to management. Then from management, it goes to the committee, the relevant voter education committee, and then the relevant voter education committee actually then takes presents the same to the commission, and the commission is able to make a decision whether this is going on well, are there gaps, and if there are gaps, what can it do as a commission to help the secretariat implement that? So quarterly reports, annual reports, and then there's of course the final evaluation of the impact of the voter
So
education.
ideally you are talking of a monitoring and evaluation
Yes,
framework.
an M&E framework.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll now request the Vice Chair to ask some questions.
Yes, Dr. Kamindo, I'll be very brief. Huh? You know the meaning of the word impunity?
I want to believe I do.
What does impunity mean in a position of leadership?
Thank you, Mr. Ashoka. What I think impunity means in a position of leadership is when, as a leader, you disregard the laid down rules and procedures, and you act like there are no rules. That's my understanding.
Thank you. Perfect, a perfect answer. Now, in 2017, according to your own words, the Commission was unable to transmit presidential results. Now, a fundamental role of an electoral body is to transmit, especially those results. If the Commission failed to do this, what, in your position, do you think ought to have happened?
Thank you, Mr. Ashoka. Madam Chair, allow me to make a correction in the statement that the distinguished panelist has made in terms of the Commission failed to transmit. What I said was, in some occasions, in some instances, the results were not transmitted because of lack of infrastructure. And I gave the example of areas where you will be able to make a voice call, but you'll not be able to transmit heavy data because the area is not supported by 3G, at least 3G infrastructure. That's what I meant.
I understood that. You even told us, you just said, when you're answering panelist Gideon's question, that you not wish to see the problems the Commission had in 2017 recur. And most of those problems, actually the biggest problem, was to do the transmission of results of the presidential elections. Now, this is what you call fatal failure in terms of responsibility. Because if that is your principal responsibility and you fail, what one would expect is you take responsibility. In this case, Kenyans would have expected that not just the Commission, but also personnel responsible for key issues relating to the tallying and transmission of results took responsibility. By that I mean actually resigned. Now, we didn't see this happen, probably except in one case. What was your position as the head of the tallying center, the coordinator of the tallying center? What view did you take? What is your position on this?
Thank you. In terms of, and I think Madam Chair did point out this, the tallying center has different components of that act to make that are there to make it functional.
What I mean is that tallying is tallying results, and that's the tallying center of presidential results. If the tallying center is not able to provide Kenyans with accurate, verifiable results, transmit and whatever, then what's the role of the tallying center? Fine, okay. I just put you a situation. Now you're a member of the Commission.
Yes.
Supposing you successfully get appointed. Then there's a problem, there's a computer hitch in the transmission of results. Because of that, the Commission is not able to verify results and declare the winner of the presidential elections. And you only have 1 day to decide what would you do. Now you are in the...
Thank you, Mr. Ashoka and Madam Chairperson. Technology fails, and that is a fact, and you have said there could be a hitch. And I think in terms of what the commission, or as a commissioner, what I would do is to communicate that to the members of the public. And I want to take an example of what happened in 2010 when we were preparing for the referendum, and the register of voters was put out there. And in the morning when the Kenyans were supposed to go and verify their details, it was discovered a very huge part of the register had actually not been printed. And what the commission did that time is they actually called a press conference immediately to tell the Kenyans, this is what has happened. We are doing ABCD to address it. That is the approach that I would take, because once you do not communicate and you may be trying very hard to address the issue, but without communication, it's going to create a lot of mistrust. So for me, it is telling the Kenyans, being open. This is what has happened. This is the problem that we are facing, and this is what we are doing towards solving the problem. I think that would help.
Thank you, Dr. Camilo.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair. I'll now request Reverend Father Mutie to ask you some questions.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Ispa. Allow me to also... Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Sorry for that. Allow me to take you through regards to your CV, in your biodata. You've in many areas. Talking about elections. In one of your sentiments, you said that informed citizens are more likely to make informed choices at the ballot, while well-trained electoral officials enhance credibility of elections by following the right procedures. I continue from where my sister and brother came from and ask, our elections are marred with a lot of malpractices. In your opinion, who is to blame? Is it the uninformed citizenry or the untrained electoral personnel?
Thank you, Father. And Madam Chairperson, you said that our elections are
marred with a lot of malpractices. There's a lot of, there are issues that emerge during our elections. And this is quite open everywhere. Sometimes this is missing, sometimes that is, there are issues that emerge during elections. Even in the process, who is to blame? According to your quote, you said it well, that informed citizens make informed choices. But the informed citizens, but also the trained electoral officials enhance credibility. I'm looking at who is to blame when there is no credibility.
Thank you, Father and Madam Chair. Credibility of an election is a sum total of very many factors. One, informed citizens. When citizens are informed, when they make informed choices, and this starts from understanding why do they vote. What does the vote mean to them? Which is part of civic education and to a large extent also voter education, because if we want them to be able to make good informed choices in terms of leadership, then that is actually something that is included. The citizens also are informed in terms of when they are going to make those choices. What are the processes? When they understand the processes, for instance, if it is when they are deciding whom to vote for, are they deciding because of as an incentive that they were given, or are they deciding because they believe that this person is the person who can be able to represent represent them effectively? So the citizens have to be taken through a process to understand what it means to cast their vote and the process and the outcome. When it comes to the trained poll officials, like I said in the beginning, extreme panel members, elections are complex. Their conduct of election is a complex process, and training of electoral officials is a very important component in terms of ensuring that this complex issue is actually dismantled into small, understandable, and doable issues. Let's take, for instance, the temporary poll officials who the Commission has to rely on. And these are the people who conduct the elections at the polling station. There are procedures that they are supposed to follow from the time in the opening, during, and the last the last part of after the voting. There are forms and documents that they are supposed to fill. If these officials are trained well, and I want to pride myself that I was instrumental in proposing that we introduce assessment of the poll officials so that we can get the best. If they are well prepared using a well-defined curriculum, they are trained by good, well-trained trainers, they are likely to get the concepts, they are likely to be able to do what they are supposed to do and do it effectively. And I can actually attest to the fact that from the time the strategy of training of the poll officials was changed from just having a mass of officials that you put in a hall and you train, into cascaded training, where we have master trainers, a pool of very experienced election officers who now train the trainers of trainers, who go down to train the poll officials in small clusters, and assess them, grade them. The training has the conduct, the performance has actually improved. We are having less errors in the filling of the forms and the other administrative documents.
Thank you, Daktari. Are you aware of the values and principles of public service?
Yes, I am aware, Madam Chair and Reverend Father.
Daktari, can you mention just but two?
There's the issue of integrity and the issue of behaving in a manner that is reflective of the office that you hold, both in private and public.
Mm-hmm. Can you expound on, for example, let me give you one of them, a high standard of professionalism or professional ethics. Can you expound on that?
High standards of professional ethics. What I do understand by that, Madam Chairperson, is the fact that you're going to conduct your business according to the professional standards, according to the laid down procedures, abide by the rules of the rules that guide what you're doing, abide to the code of conduct of the public officers. That's what I understand.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And that should be reflected, Madam Chair, in every aspect of your doing.
Thank you, Daktari. Lastly, we've heard about scandals, for example, like the Chicken Gate scandal and other practices that have truly tarnished the image of IEBC. What would you do to protect the integrity of IEBC?
Thank you, Reverend Father, Madam Chairperson. Referring to the scandal that you have mentioned, the Chicken Gate that was baptized by the media, it was a scandal out of a procurement process. And the procurement process is guided by law. And what I think, the law is there. What I think in terms of if appointed a commissioner to protect the integrity of the commission in terms of procurement, one is to have a very robust policy on training of the staff in procurement matters, because not every member of staff, while they'll be used, or they will participate in some of the procurement processes, like the openings, like the evaluation. Not all of them are trained; they are not professionals. So I would advocate for a very robust training regime, such that all the staff who are likely to be involved in one or the other, they actually understand the process, and at the same time are enforcing the code of conduct for the staff.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kamindo, and thank you so very much also, Chair.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Reverend Father. Maybe I can bring the interview to an end by asking a general knowledge question to you, Dr. Kamindo. What might be the difference between Madaraka Day and Jamhuri Day?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jamhuri Day is the day, the 12th of December, the day Kenya attained its independence. Madaraka Day, which is on June 1st, it has escaped my mind, I'm sorry.
It's also related. It's when we got partial independence.
Thank you.
And Jamhuri is when we became fully independent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have learned.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kamindo. Maybe I can invite you to make any remarks you might want to make to the panel.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and distinguished panel members. I do not have a question. I have a comment. First of all, I want to thank you most sincerely for giving me this opportunity to appear before you, have this conversation. I have enjoyed myself. I must say, I have enjoyed the interview, the interaction, and I can only say I am grateful to have had the chance and hope I'll be the right candidate. Thank you.
Thank you. Then allow me, let me correct myself. For Madaraka Day we got internal self-rule. All right, so allow me on behalf of the panelists as well as Kenyans to thank you so much for offering yourself to serve this country in the role of member of the Commission of IEBC. We wish you well. A member of the Secretariat will escort you. Please ensure that you get all your original documents, and we wish you a good afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the panel members.
So we will now take a break until 2 o'clock when we will resume for the next interview.